Welcome to the Journey to Wellness podcast, sponsored by the Essential Wellness Society and Healing Wheel Holistic. I'm Melissa Stonehill-Kyam, and I will be your host. With over 40 years' experience in the health and fitness industry, I am ready to dive in to some of the most conflicting topics we have regards to health today. Let's go. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Journey to Wellness podcast. I'm so excited today about our podcast session with Heather Leigh Strom, and I'm going to be looking at my notes quite a bit because she is such a multifaceted, interesting woman and practitioner, and there's a lot of concepts here that we haven't discussed with anyone yet. But before we get started with our quantum healer and galactic canine channel and award-winning author, Heather Leigh, I want to start with a question, okay? So I got a question for you. So this can probably change depending on what day of the week it is, but if you were to click your magic heels and you could be anywhere in time right now, you have 2 days where you can just be, where would you go?
It wouldn't be this universe.
Okay.
It would be home.
And can you expound what that looks like?
Well, we are spiritual beings, and we exist in multiple planes simultaneously. Mm-hmm. So home can be a variety of places at the same time. So we have an existence here on the planet, and sometimes we have more than one simultaneously here on the planet. And we also are operating, our souls are operating in other dimensions on other planets as other races.
Wow.
So, it's more than the sky's the limit here. The quantum is the limit. And I would probably go to where I am the happiest, which is where I have visited myself and in another timeline, doing exactly the same work I'm doing now, only it's much more advanced and it's more progressive. So that person reminded me of the Harry Potter movie where the guy is in charge of all the animals. I can't remember the name of the movie. Something about, I can't remember the name of it. It always escapes me, but that's my role in that timeline. And that's what's bleeding into this timeline.
So I think there's so much to unpack there.
Yeah.
And for our listeners, there's a lot there to unpack, just where she wants to go and what Heather Leigh is referring to as home. That's super cool. And then we hear the word galactic and we hear the word quantum. One of the taglines for my wellness retreat company, is the tagline, is curiosity is the destination.
Yes.
And I was always fascinated and enchanted with the Alice in Wonderland story growing up, because Alice, not only did she have the courage to go down the rabbit hole and open doors and explore, but she had the courage, and then in each particular encounter, she had information that she brought back with her. And I always thought it was so profound as a kid.
Yeah.
And I've reread that book over and over, probably every year, seriously, and I keep getting more things out of it.
Yes, and that's the power of curiosity. We cannot grow as a spiritual being without curiosity.
Exactly. We can't, if you're stuck, you won't grow.
No.
And my business partner and I always talk about when we're curating these retreats and we're teaching, we always know that many people are very attached to their problems.
Their stories.
Yeah. And if they let go of the story, there seems to be a fear of reinventing oneself, a lot of fear of letting go of the story.
Yeah.
And that's part of our work, is what we would like to help people do, is let go of the story, let go of the chatter, recreate. And the recreation is almost peeling the onion, going down to the layers. You're not really recreating, the creation's already there.
Mm-hmm. You're uncovering it.
But you're uncovering it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
And it seems like you present tools in order to help that process. Is that correct?
Yes, the canine guides are the tools.
So when I'm looking at your bio, and why I said I need notes is because it's fascinating. And so I want to ask you the question, what was your catalyst to do this work?
That's a fascinating story, yeah.
Well, that's what we're here for, fascinating stories.
Yeah, it was not something I saw coming. It wasn't a cognitive decision. Mm-hmm. I describe in my book this entire process because for about 11 years, I spent in a cocoon. I was completely lost. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know why I was here. I knew there was a purpose. I just knew it was there. I could feel it pushing into me, but I didn't have the key to open the door. And I was being prepared. It was like I was in a preparation phase for about 11 years. And that time period happened after my most precious dog died very suddenly. And it sort of locked me in the room. I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm tired of the pain. I'm tired of not knowing. And I just retreated.
Were you depressed? Would you call it depression, or would you call it something else?
I didn't call it depression. I never lost my will. I just knew that there was more.
Oh man, that's a long time, 11 years.
11 years. It's not like I couldn't function. I mean, I went on with my life, but I knew I wasn't me. Does that make sense? I hadn't found me yet.
So you felt you were kind of connecting to this. It's almost like a little bit of being aware of your disassociation.
Yes.
Okay.
I was aware of a higher purpose, a higher calling, but I couldn't reach it. I couldn't connect to it.
Okay.
And I didn't know all of this until after the fact. 2020 is a beautiful picture. 2020 vision is a beautiful picture, but you've got to turn around and look at it after you get there. So, and ironically, it was in 2020 during the lockdown that I got my marching orders, that I got my call to arms.
Interesting. That
I didn't even realize that's what it was. I got a very significant message. I was out in the yard with the dog. We were locked in, like everybody else. Thankfully, I had a dog. Other people didn't. And we were just out walking in the yard, and we come across a conjoined squirrel. You know what that is?
No.
It's a Siamese twin squirrel.
What?
Yeah. How often do any of us
I didn't even know that. You must have gone, well, what? You see a squirrel with two heads and two bodies that are connected?
Yeah. They were connected at the spine, facing outward.
Were they like back-to-back connected and neither one of them could see each other?
Right.
Oh, wow.
And they had fallen out of the nest. They were half grown. Wow. So the mother had fed them that whole time until the nest could no longer support them. And then they fell to the ground. And one of them, one half was dead, and the other half was terrified.
Oh, man.
And it shook me to my core, like something really deep got stirred within inside of me when I saw that squirrel. And I didn't know what it meant at the time, but I just knew it was significant. And what it turned out, 2 years later, I was meditating and I got the answers to that question. Okay. And I was shown that squirrel, number one, was meant to activate me. It was the signal that I had been waiting for. All this time I knew something was coming. That was the signal. And the other thing was that squirrel represented me. The old me that I needed to let go of, that I was still holding on to, the dead part of the squirrel, and the new me that was waiting to come out into the world and to be connected with me that was scared shitless.
That's so awesome. I like that analogy.
Yeah, it was a beautiful message. But it also was an activation of all the canine guides say, okay, get ready, we're ready to move. It was the signal of me coming out of my cocoon. And that's exactly what happened very fast.
So interesting. I'm just trying to take in the visual
Yeah.
of all of that. And okay, so you're in lockdown, you're hanging out with your dog. I wonder how'd your dog respond to that?
She had a very interesting response because she found the squirrel first. And, you know, she was a Malinois. So the Malinois are prey animals. I mean, usually if she found a squirrel in the yard.
It'd be in her mouth.
Yeah, it'd be in her mouth.
Right.
And when she came up upon it, her reaction was so startling that it startled me because I couldn't see what she was looking at.
Right.
She took a look at it and she went, "Oh crap!"
Right.
And she ran the other way.
Right.
And I'm like, "Uh-oh, this must be really bad. What the heck could it be?"
Right?
So I walked up very cautiously. What is she afraid of? Because normally she's not afraid of anything. And I was shocked at what I saw.
Oh wow.
So yeah.
So what was the next step from there? When you talk about, because for people listening, you know, maybe you can expound a little bit about what is an activation.
Yeah, so it's really subtle at first. For me, this is how it happened. Like, I just felt this stirring inside that I needed to prepare for something huge that was coming. I couldn't explain it. It was very similar to the callings that I experienced with the dogs, where I know something's coming and I know I need to find it. And I don't let go of it. I'm like a dog with a bone. I don't let go of it until I meet my objective. And so I just felt stirred, like I needed to get ready. And so I started to try and find a support system. I found a mentor that was a galactic shaman that could help me through, a psychic shaman that could help me through this process. Mm-hmm. And then I found an astrologer who was amazing, who literally read my soul from the inside out. And she predicted everything that I went through the next 2 years. I mean, spot on.
Wow.
And
I could use something like that.
Yeah, it just gave me so much confidence and courage to move forward in the process. And then I consulted with a numerologist, and then I actually did also regressive therapy, you know, the hypnotherapy. Mm-hmm. And that helped me connect to parts of myself that I was locked away from, and other lives that I had experienced. And I don't think we did any intergalactic travel with her. I did visit a part of an experience I had where I was sitting on a star before I came here, and I was pondering whether or not I would be able to achieve my objective, because I had tried so many times before and I had been persecuted over it. So there was some locked up fear of persecution that I had to deal with. Mm-hmm. But through this process, I just trusted my intuition. I asked for answers and clarity, and when I got them, I never questioned them. I just moved towards that.
So when you asked for answers and clarity, were you each time in a meditative state?
No, not always, because your answers are not always going to come when you think they're going to come.
Okay.
So sometimes in meditation, I would sit with something that I wanted answers to, and I might not get it in the meditation, but I'm always listening. So sometimes it'll come out of somebody else's mouth. I might be having a conversation with you, and you say a sentence, and I go, ding, 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 there's my answer to what I asked for. Or it could be, I'm guided to reach out to somebody who might have the answer. Mm-hmm. And that's how I found the other professionals that I worked with, was I was guided in that direction to say, hey, I know you use a psychic, who is it?
So you're getting these little nudges, and you're just you're paying attention.
Paying attention, mm-hmm. And then you want to check in and see how it integrates with you. Mm-hmm. Is it a congruent match for your frequency? Because not everything is the answer for you, right? So you have to check in with that. It's so
interesting, because before we started the podcast, we were chatting, and I was sharing a story, and I find that when I do deep breath work, mm-hmm. I could be in a room full of 40 people. Well, I do deep breath work, all the Reiki attunements I went through. Anytime I'm in a shamanic journey or meditation, I lose this world. It was kind of fearful for me for a while, and I was like, well, so I got a message to hold the stone. to stay grounded, like just pick a stone because it's a piece of the earth and hold it in your hand. But then I started to get a little bit concerned who would be on the other side, like in this world, who would be guiding me, because I literally don't know how I get back. And so when I shared it with somebody, a friend of mine, and I said, well, I'm almost fearful now to go deep into these spaces because, well, what if I don't come back from it? And my friend said, okay then, so what if?
Yeah.
And when he said that, I thought, okay, I can trust him because he just gave me permission to let go and explore, right?
Yeah.
So I've tried to express this to other people that I don't know where I go, but it's not here anymore because I can't hear anything at all. And I remember learning that when people leave this world, the last sense that they have is their auditory, and then that's the last sense that they don't have anymore is the auditory sense. When they take that last breath, boom, right?
Yeah. Well, you're just bilocating when you're doing that, though. You're not leaving. You're in more than one place at a time.
Right, which I don't understand very well.
Yeah, I do it all the time.
Bilocating.
Yeah.
So what does that actually mean?
So our souls, our frequency, and we can say this now because humanity has evolved to the point where we can understand and appreciate this. 20 years ago, they would have put us in jail, right? But our souls, our spiritual frequency is so massive that our body can't hold it all. So that's why we get fractured off into many different experiences, many different bodies, many different planets or experiences simultaneously. Because the soul is so massive, the body can't house it. And that would just really slow down your process, your journey of learning and evolving to just do one at a time. So you're stepping into another timeline, probably, where your soul is also existing when you do that.
So remember, I also mentioned too that I keep stepping into this scenario where I'm in this forest and I'm surrounded, like I keep visiting with these white wolves.
Yeah.
So according to your research and study and teachings, what would that mean?
Well, the animals are part of our soul family. So, and they carry frequencies that we resonate with and that are also memories that we have. And that could be you visiting yourself in a different dimension. So those are your family in that dimension.
This wolf family.
Yeah. I have a history, a story that I remembered because of one of the dogs in my life. We were reunited in this life after our first time here. She was a wolf, and I was on the Trail of Tears. I was an Indian, and my parents casted me out of the walk to save me. So they hid me in the bushes. And I know where this happened because every time I go there now, in like the Chattanooga area, I don't ever want to leave. It's so home to me, so home. And it was like that before I even knew about this story about my past. And when I was in that forest, the wolves adopted me and took care of me. And so this dog that came to join me in this lifetime, she was part of that wolf pack in that lifetime. So yes, you can definitely not even be human or humanoid. You might even be an animal in that experience.
So when you connect with your canines today, most of my circle of friends are real dog lovers. And they acquire them in all different ways, but that's something that we share is our passion for our four-legged family members.
Yeah, yeah.
Like they're really our family members. Yeah. And I have a senior dog now. I got him when he was 7 weeks old. He was a rescue and was a sad story. Beautiful, beautiful animal. Has always been amazing to me personally and all the kids, everybody. Well, now he's older and not functioning very well. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to connect with him to understand when he thinks he no longer needs to be here in this world. And I think there are a lot of people who have experienced the same thing. Maybe they don't know how to pick up the message. I know it's hard for me to pick up the message because if it was someone else's dog, I'm really good at picking up the message and reading the dog. I really am, you know? Yeah. And I've gone out to rescue ranches. I do Reiki on horses and goats and a cow, and like I love doing that. When it's my own family member, I'm emotionally attached so much. So I'm having a hard time trying to understand if he wants to leave, when he wants to leave. Do you have any insight into that?
It all depends on your path. They come and they go at precise times when you need them or when you need a shift. So usually when they leave, it's because something else needs to come in. So he's waiting for that moment for you to be ready for that something else to come in. Either a shift in your life or an energetic shift, or maybe even another animal. It totally
it's
depends.
So interesting that you say that, because I have a young dog. I have a 13-year-old, almost 14.
Oh, wow.
Which is a lot for a 70-pound golden retriever mix, right?
Yes.
We've done a good job with him.
Yes.
I cook for them and I love them.
Oh,
anyway,
wow.
Then I have a rescue. I rescued her at 10 weeks old. She was a reservation dog rescue. She's now 3. And she's also a big dog, and she looks at me and I say, like, I know you're bored. I know he doesn't want to play that much. I feel you being anxious because you're not getting to do the mouth wars like dogs like to do. And I was really looking at her and kind of studying her yesterday. I was trying to pick up on her vibe. And I go to make a Facebook post for an upcoming event that we have. And boom, this dog appears. And it beautiful breed and all that, and I'm used to rescuing, and like, okay, well, I can't scroll past this dog. And I'm looking, I give it a few days, and I'm finally like, I feel called to meet this dog.
Yeah, it's a calling.
Because when I take on a pack animal, because I'm a pack animal, it's a very deep connection for me.
Yeah.
And I can almost read my other animals saying, we need this third puppy here. We need the puppy in the house. We need to bring a puppy in the house.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about it now. So what you just said, it's not as much as me bringing a puppy in the house. It's me bringing
the next frequency.
An energetic being into the house for a cosmic shift.
It's a frequency that you need to take you to the next level.
Wow. That's really amazing.
Yeah.
And I love how you put that, because I feel, oh my God, my heart just goes when I see so much rehoming going on, when people think, oh, the puppy's going to look so cute under the Christmas tree, and they don't realize that they're bringing in this phenomenal soul being.
Right.
And it's too much for them.
Well, not everybody takes the call. And that's okay. There's no judgment.
Right.
So humans judge. Nobody else judges. The dogs don't judge. They provide an opportunity. They provide the frequency. And that's how the canine guides work. The book is about how they worked through my personal dogs to provide me the opportunities I needed at that moment to offer healing and allow me to elevate my frequency. So for all the stories in the book, I said no because I didn't know what was happening. I declined the opportunity. So now they're coming through after all of those dogs are gone to finish the job, because now I have access to that, because now that's my mission, that's my purpose. And when we say no thank you, I mean, we have the authority to make our own choices. We have free will here. That's the number one law on earth, is free will. So this is a hard place to live, and we have a number of opportunities to do what our soul came here to do. But because sometimes we get lost in the humanity of it, we're like, oh no, I'm that seems too hard. I'm afraid. What will people think? There's a lot of barriers that we have to overcome, and there's never any judgment when we say that's too hard. I don't want to do that.
Well, I love when you said that, because one of the things that we know is there's really no judgment with your dog either.
No.
I saw a T-shirt that said, I only wish I was the person my dog thinks I am.
The dog knows, actually.
and you go out, you just run into quick air, and you come back, and they treat you like, where have you been all my life? You are wonderful. Thank you for coming back. It doesn't matter how you look, if you brushed your teeth, if you didn't brush your teeth. If I'm not feeling well, my dogs just park themselves next to me.
Mm-hmm. They're giving you that frequency that you need.
They give so much. And I love the experience that I've had being able to actually attune dogs to Reiki. So when I do teach animal Reiki.
Are you attuning them, or are they attuning you?
I think it's mutual.
Yeah.
I think it's really a mutual exchange, because when I say animal Reiki, people automatically feel, oh, great, because I know Reiki, so I want to be able to do it to my animal. And I always teach on Zoom because I want the animal there. And I say, well, but what I'm actually doing is your dog is the source of the Reiki. Yeah, and you guys are going to have a mutual exchange.
It's a co-creation. Yeah.
And then we'll during the course of this time, there's many times where my 3-year-old lab peer will come in, and she'll literally go on her hind legs and just put her paws on my shoulders to connect to my heart space.
Yeah. That's so funny. That's how the canine guides do it too.
Really? Well, when she feels like it.
Yeah.
Not when I ask her to.
No.
When she's in the mood.
Well, when it's necessary.
Right.
It's not a human need. It's an energetic exchange. So some of them don't like to get involved in the human clinginess and the human sense of control. My corgi, talk about judgment, corgis judge.
Okay.
So she's not into the touchy-feely. She doesn't want to be there to be my teddy bear. She's there for the energetic exchange. So she's always working with me when I'm working with clients. But she doesn't want to be in my lap. She doesn't want to be touched. She doesn't want to be fondled.
Right.
She doesn't want to share affection. And this is how her guide is. He's very typically this way, because I've had this canine guide 3 times as 3 different dogs. And they're always the same, different breeds, it doesn't matter. The personality is always the same, because the canine guide's personality comes through the dog, regardless of breed or temperament or anything like that. And that canine guide is so high up there that he doesn't care what your story is. Doesn't want to hear it. All he wants to do is elevate you to that most supreme frequency that you're seeking. And that's when he shows up.
It's really interesting. I have a friend who went through just a traumatic loss of a child, an adult child, in a very traumatic way.
Oh, wow.
And she went to my good friend, who's a wonderful psychic medium. And through my friend was a channel for her son to come through.
Yeah.
And in the reading, she was told, he described a dog that she needed. And she listened And
good
there's
for her.
been tremendous grief healing that has happened for her through her dog. And it was a gift from her son.
The dog was?
Her son who had passed.
Who had passed, yeah.
You need this.
Yeah.
You need to go get this. And he described this particular dog, and now she has this dog. But you had said something a few times that the concept's new to me. I don't know how many people this concept may be new to, but when you said canine guides, I'd like you to just expound on that a little bit. What is a canine guide?
Okay, that's a great question. It's actually also a loaded question, because it's such a new concept that it's really, number one, it's difficult to explain on the human level. And number two, it's so new that many people, the brain just can't grab hold of it. But the canine spirit guides, they look like this in the book. So they associate with a particular dog breed and also a particular shamanic animal. So they carry two different frequencies. It's a conjoined frequency. So this makes them very unique. So this guide here, this is Oregon, and she identifies with the Basenji dog breed and the Black Panther. She's incredibly powerful. And they have specific job titles. They actually gave me their job titles because they work with humanity on specific things.
Do you have pictures in there?
Yeah, there's 4. This book covers the first 4. So
I am so excited. I want this
I meant
book.
to bring my color pictures because the book has black and whites. So this is Oscar.
Yeah, that's a good name.
Yeah, he's a very masculine entity, and he works around the throat chakra. So he helps us heal our voice and our power.
And he looks like part hound, part lion.
Yeah, he's the black and tan coonhound and the lion. Yeah. So the aspects of the animals, the creatures they choose, carry the frequency that they're sharing with us for the healing. So in this book, there's the core 4. There's the first 4 guides that came through and presented themselves to me. And the core 4 work on the stuff that we don't want to do, the shadow work, basically. Everyone avoids shadow work because it's so scary. It's hard. Who wants to really look deeply within yourself and really see the parts of you that are broken and wounded? Nobody wants to do that. Well, these guides offer the easy path, the easy button, because they come in and they say, when I work with my clients, they come in and they say, okay, this client has this, this, and this, and they call them tags that needs to be released. So it might be, I'm not worthy, I'm not loved, my voice doesn't matter. Depending on the guide, it'll be a specific type of tag that they're going to pull out of this person. And energetically, they offer such an advanced frequency that it happens instantly. Whether or not you understand it, all that is necessary is for you to say, yes, I'm ready. That's all you need, is to provide your permission. Now, your mind might think you're ready, but energetically you might be holding. So in that case, it takes a little longer for the process to work because your mind that isn't necessarily congruent with your subconscious, right? So subconsciously you might be thinking, I don't know, is this safe? Is this going to work? How could this work? Or how, some people are holding on to, well, that can't be happening to me. I don't feel that way. In those cases, then you are not giving full permission. So you're holding onto that frequency, you're retaining it, and you're delaying the process. So in those cases, it takes a little bit longer, a few more tries, maybe even sometimes they'll bring in brand new guides I've never worked with before that introduce themselves to me and say, oh, we need to bring in a new frequency for this person, something completely different. And energetically, they work with this person, telling them what needs to happen, what needs to be healed. to remove that lower frequency, because you can't add higher frequency until you dump the tanks, is what I call it. You have to get out the muck. You have to remove the pain, the memories, the thought patterns, the ancestral patterning that's holding you in that place. And until this is removed, you can't add higher frequency.
So I feel like when people work with you, because as you speak, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to book a session. But when people work with you, it sounds like it would be a series. And what I like about that, you know, for myself as a holistic practitioner, it's never a one and done. I don't have a magic pill.
Yeah.
And if someone thinks I can work with them in one session, I'm going to change your life, that's not the way it works. And I am a Jungian life coach, so when you mentioned shadow work, shadow work appears to be the most beneficial tool, whether it's relationship issues, body issues, all of the above, you know, the fractured ego and the generational trauma that we feel. And when somebody works with you, and I know success is different for everybody, because some people get it in 3 sessions, some people need 6 months, some people need 6 years.
Yeah.
What is your typical client? What is their pattern of reconnecting, igniting, moving into the higher frequencies that they're being basically being given permission to attune themselves to?
Yeah. So what's the process like?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I do have an individual session option, which most people start with. They want to just test the waters, see what it's like, see if it resonates with them. And in those, all my sessions are 90 minutes. In those sessions, you know, the canine guides come forward, share what needs to happen right now, and that's taken care of in that session. Now the people, sometimes that opens up a whole new opportunity. It might create more questions. The human brain needs to understand more, so we need to go deeper and get more answers. It's not necessary, but you know, they do like to provide that for the human ego, because sometimes that's the only way we move is if we understand. So the people that I work with that really take off, they do my mentoring program, which is a 3-month program. The guide, and this is all set up from the guides. The canine guides have established both programs, and it's 6 sessions, and we meet every 2 weeks because you need time to integrate the healing from each session. And so a typical journey would entail working with the core 4 to begin with, which is the first 4 guides in this book, dealing with the shadow work. And if someone's moving quickly, we'll get through that in 4 weeks. I mean, fast, if they're really ready. And I've got some really superstar clients that did that very thing. And before we finish the 6 sessions, we're moving on into intergalactic work. So, you know, literally, the quantum field is the limit. We can connect you to
That's
your...
a t-shirt.
Yeah, that is a t-shirt. We can connect you to your other intergalactic families, and that's a beautiful reunion. When people feel that frequency again, it sparks memories and frequencies in you, and it wakes you up on a level you've locked down here because you're human here. And you know, they'll bring through any guide that you need, even guides I don't know about. They'll bring them through to help that particular person. So, and you know, other people need to go slower. So we might get through the whole mentoring package, a 6-session package, and only get through 2 guides because that person just needs extra time, they need extra support, and their energy just isn't moving as fast, and that's okay too. Everybody's different. So they provide what each individual needs.
I love your back cover here, and it says, we've always suspected dogs are magical angels from God. I mean, right there, that brings me in.
Yeah.
I do feel they're magical angels from God.
Yeah.
And I do feel they're here to teach us so much.
Yeah.
And what I also really heard that you said about your process is that the mentoring, which some people use mentoring, some people use the word coaching, but there's an integrative piece. So while you're working through your stuff, that you're providing guidance to work through and consume the experience and continue moving forward.
Well, it's all channeled, so it's not me sitting there giving, suggestions or coaching. So all of the information that's provided during the sessions is channeled from the guides in real time. So everything that comes through, and there's healing in every session. Each session contains a healing portion.
I feel like you could have your own YouTube channel just on this and going through each chapter.
I have my own podcast. Yeah.
Okay, so good. So let people know, your podcast, how they booked a session with you. Do you do sessions remote as well as here locally? All the hardware.
Okay.
How do they find you?
Yeah. So you can find me on all of my social media. It's Heather Leigh Strom. So Leigh is Leigh for those who are listening. Strom is Strom. So my podcast is Heather _Leigh _Strom. But if you just Google my name, you're going to find me. So I have a podcast I do that's it's whenever I'm called to do it and also whenever I have time. And it's all based on channeled messages from the canine guides. And usually with that channeled message, there is also a channeled healing frequency attached to it. So I go through discussion of what they wish for us to understand about that topic. And then also we'll go into a channeled healing at the end of the podcast. So if you want to try it out, that's a great way, because that's free. You can just go on the podcast and try out their frequency, take it for a stroll.
And is your podcast on YouTube?
It's on
Apple?
YouTube.
Okay,
yeah,
YouTube.
It's on YouTube. I like the visual. I like to connect with people visually.
So do we, obviously.
Yeah, so you'll see my face because I want you to be able to tap into what I'm sharing. And then I also have some free goodies on my website for people, a channeled message from one of the guides, Anthea, or a channeled meditation that's really powerful. You might love it.
I love that.
From Anthea, and she's like the grandmother of the canine guides, so she's really easy to work with, very comforting. And then also on my webpage, there's a number of free assets you can try out, and there's also a new course that I just put together with the canine guides. There's going to be a canine guide university. I'm so excited.
That is exciting.
Yeah. So they just had me create what they call the base camp, which is your first step in getting to understand how to work with them yourself. So it gives you the access to the frequency of the core 4 with many channeled activations in each in each module, so that you can become acquainted to that with their frequency. Also, you can get the book on Amazon.
Nice.
Yeah, and there's going to be more books. I've got enough guides now to write a second book, so that's going to be coming probably next year, I would say. But there's over 50 of these canine spirit guides. And
we were going to talk, when we're off camera, we're going to talk about some events, maybe creating some events around.
Oh yeah, so you can schedule an appointment on my website, and I work right now all virtually. I'm looking for a place here locally in Colorado Springs to begin to work with people individually and also groups. There's workshops. I've been doing virtual workshops that are really powerful. I just did a Divine Union activation workshop this spring, and it was incredible. We brought frequencies in. What's so exciting is where the dogs come from, the breeds. When they come into our dimension, they come from a different dimension. So each dog breed comes in with a specific frequency from their dimension to share.
So interesting.
Yeah. So we get into some of that in the
So can you tell them what your next workshop is? Do you have a date set already?
I don't have a date. Right now, everything I've done has been virtual, so I haven't set up anything here locally yet. I'm looking for an opportunity to do that.
I think we can totally work with that.
Yeah.
While we were talking about shadow work, I just want to leave with the question here, because the truth is, like, you're so amazing. We can probably do 5 more podcasts just on this in the book, and I can't wait to dive in. So this is a book that I have out. It's a workbook, and it's called Daily Practices, a Mindfulness Companion. And I own Healing Wheel Retreats and Travel. It's a transformational travel company.
Beautiful.
And besides doing our own retreats, we curate for others as well.
Yeah.
We have our own retreat coming up December 13th through the 20th in Costa Rica. It's called Breathwork, the Spirit of Movement. And I'm super excited about that.
Yeah.
And we're advertised that as a healthy holiday.
Yeah.
We're kind of stepping back from consumerism, and we call it a sober event. So sobriety isn't always lack of substance use, and substances meaning like alcohol and things like that. But you can sober up from the digital world and withdraw from all the massive consumerism and come to Costa Rica with us. And then we also have a psychic mediumship awareness Hawaiian cruise.
Ooh,
We're the spirit of
amazing.
aloha. Yeah. So we're going to
Yeah.
spend 2 days on each island
Oh,
and
beautiful.
diving deep into the spirit of aloha.
yeah.
But one of the things I wanted to, I use my own workbook, and because I thought, what good is a workbook of mine if I don't use it myself, right? So one of the things that I'm working on right now is identify a negative pattern in your life that you would like to change. What triggers this pattern, and what are the typical outcomes? So this one question right here
Yeah.
has been taking me weeks. Because you can identify the negative patterns, because we're so good at trashing ourselves.
Yeah.
But what we may have a hard time pinpointing is, what are the outcomes? Because I say or do this, this is the outcome.
Yeah.
Are the triggers, because a lot of times we're so wired to say to somebody, when you say that, that really triggers me. When you say that, that triggers me. It's like, I got to tell you all, you got to own your triggers,
Yeah.
because what someone else says is what they say, but you own your response.
Yes.
So when you're self-reflecting like this, it's really important to kind of turn it around and own the responses. I respond like this when I hear that, or
And what's the message about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
it could be you open up the pantry and you don't have a lot of food in the cupboards, and that triggers you emotionally because you remember some scarcity in your life, or you're fearful. It could be you check your bank balance and it's not what you want it to be.
And you have a neurological response to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But then that creates a cascade
It does.
of not putting the money back in.
Yes, it does.
Right?
It's all
And
related. Yeah. Yeah.
So shifting and moving away from fear and going into abundance is not an easy task. And the shadow work is very difficult. In fact, it's physically painful sometimes. It could cause a lot of physical traumas, or we can call them reactions. It's okay though, just like if you were to fast and you would get a headache because your body is detoxifying, right? Mm-hmm. So it brings you back to the dogs.
Yeah.
So
and they make that
sometimes-
process painless.
Well, I think so too.
They
because
do.
sometimes if I'm feeling like I don't have a grip on this, I literally go rub her ears, and I'm like, oh, parasympathetic nervous system activated. I'm feeling better.
Yeah.
So we can, like I said, we can go on and on and on and on, because this is a topic that I absolutely love. But we're going to have to end now. So I wanted to thank you for tuning in. We're here at Treehouse Cafe, which is owned by Sarah Grant. I am a huge fan. She also heads up the Essential Wellness Society, which is my favorite networking group. I've literally built my business, my holistic business, on the networking of the people and practitioners I've met.
Incredible.
If you want to get in touch with me, go to www.healingwillholistic.com. I can also be reached at healingwheelretreats@gmail.com. I'd love to have you on one of our upcoming retreats. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much, Heather Leigh, for being here
Melissa.
today.
Thank you so much.
And until the next time.